What's some popular self-care, self-love advice that is actually really toxic? Stop texting people first to see who your friends are. What if they are doing the same thing and you just ended a friendship due to a misunderstanding? Edit. Okay, this blew up more than I thought. There's a lot of people saying, well, what about in this scenario? What about this? What about this? And thing is, in some scenarios this is good advice. But in a lot of cases this is terrible advice. Like, yes, if you're the only one doing work in the friendship, then maybe you should reevaluate it. But it also could be someone is going through something that you don't know about and they really don't want to talk to anyone at that time. So what I was really trying to say is that this isn't a solution for everyone. It's really just a solution for some. Be who you are is only good advice if you're a good person. It's not really advice, but it's popular for people to label themselves as brutally honest. Honesty is good, but beware of people who are more interested in the brutality than the honesty. Live your truth. There is a fine line between authenticity and being an asshole. If people don't like you for who you are, that's their problem. No. Sometimes you're the asshole. 9/10 the common denominator rule stands. Positive vibes only. You just need to stay positive. People use it because they think it's uplifting, but it's actually quite dismissive. Often people say it when people voice sadness, frustration, emotional fatigue, anger, basically any other emotion but happiness. A positive attitude can get you a long way, but so can acknowledging and letting yourself others feel emotions. Edit. Okay. Whoa. This blew up in a way I'd never have imagined. Firstly, thank you for the rewards. This is bizarre. Secondly, to all those having a hard time and/or have people in their lives dismissing them with this stuff, I'm sorry that you are going through it. I hope and wish there will be better times around the corner for you soon. Third, my original edit is now in a reply to this post because on review it seemed too long. If you're interested, it's there somewhere. If not, cool. The how not to give a duck nonsense. I agree. Don't give a duck what people think if you enjoy a certain type of music, but do give a duck about how your actions affect other people. Unfortunately, it seems that many people just take it to mean don't care that you might hurt other people. In order to self-care and self-love, it is important to consider what consequences your actions have on the world around you. Ignore the haters. Sometimes the haters are people who love you and want to warn you of potential pitfalls, such as MLMs, cults, abusive relationships, etc. Update. A few people are saying that the definition of haters is, essentially, only people who are hating for the wrong reasons. I agree, that's what this advice intends to communicate. Basically, don't pay any attention to people who project consistent irrational negativity your way. My concern is that this phrase is so easily misapplied as a self-love mantra, which ultimately serves to keep some vulnerable people from listening to the valid and well-intentioned concerns of loved ones. It can be used by a manipulative person to keep victims' vulnerable followers in line. I like haters gonna hate better because it implies there is a pattern. Like, oh, that person is always hating, so of course they're hating now. But if your sister is usually supportive, and definitely not a hater by nature, and is suddenly very concerned that your relationship is abusive, listen up. I think it comes down to the idea that you have, arguably, more to lose by disregarding a well-intentioned friend than by paying attention to an ill-intentioned one. I appreciated the feedback and did not find any of you to be haters. Once you fall out of love with someone, you cannot fall back in love with them. Worst advice I ever got. I'm so glad I gave it a second try. Show them what they're missing. No, just do better for yourself. Any kind of advice that tells you to test friendships by withholding contact to see if they'll notice, or straight up tells you to drop friends that don't reach out to you regularly. This is a very selfish and passive-aggressive thing to do. If you miss your friend, then call them up. Don't play cat and mouse games. Maybe they have it going on in their lives. The world does not revolve around you. Follow your heart. Honestly, this statement almost never works. Sometimes love can be toxic, and maybe the correct decision is painful. Maybe it pains you to leave someone. Your heart shouldn't rule you. Edit. First, thanks for all the feedback on this. I enjoy seeing what others think on this issue. But seeing what a lot of people are saying response, I wanted to clear some things up. First off, I'm not saying to never follow your heart and to always pick the typical logic route. Sometimes risks are good, whether it be with taking a risk for a new job or starting a new relationship. What the point I was trying to get across is not to follow your heart blindly. Use logic. If there is a bad situation, get out, no matter what your heart thinks. Guilt is a wasted emotion. Pretty sure it was Wayne Dyer who published this nonsense in the 80s. Having at least some guilt is a good sign that you're not a psychopath. Do whatever feels right. Sometimes what feels right is cutting your veins open, but that's not gonna heal you. Just be yourself. Myself is a guy who likes to work minimum wage, part-time jobs that require no mental input, and then spend the rest of his time playing video games and eating junk food. He's overweight, underpaid, and has no interaction with his friends or family. I don't want to be myself. I want to be a better version of myself. Edit. After reading some of these replies, I feel like I should add a bit more detail. I realized that if I just stayed myself, stayed happy as I was, my life was going to end up going nowhere. That was about 11 years ago. I'm in a much better position in life. Currently, I still have to fight against that instinct, but it's easier now that I have momentum. The sort of positivity that relies on dragging other people down. I see it the most around body image issues in particular, but can apply to other things too. And I just think it's really sad. It doesn't solve any of the underlying issues, just makes more people feel rubbish about themselves. Find a job you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. First of all, even a job you love is going to suck, often. That's why they pay you to do it. This advice leaves you feeling like a failure whenever you have a bad day at work. Plus, there's a lot of value in working for a living and finding your satisfaction at a more personal level. There's no wrong way to parent. As a child of abuse, there are absolutely wrong ways to parent. Frankly, I'm of the opinion that the majority of chronic mental illnesses are the result of itty parenting practices, because itty parenting can duck up every body system. Every parent should consult a child psych professional just like they consult a pediatrician about their child's well-being. They're professionals who have the education to read research studies regarding child development and can direct a parent on how to raise a healthy child. Edit. I came back to a lot of notifications from this and was really braced for today to become a bad day. But you all are so genuinely kind. It's nice to feel heard on this kind of thing when you have such a personal experience with it. Thank you for making today a little more wholesome, friends are. Cut off anyone that doesn't bring you peace. Obviously this applies to people who are constantly, deliberately making you miserable. But a stressful situation or argument with a friend that you care about doesn't count if you haven't attempted to work it out with them. That you should expect unconditional support, love and acceptance from friends or romantic partners. Popular idea. But if people really care, they will tell you when you are harming yourself or others rather than just keep the vibe chill. Why are you sad? You have everything to be happy. Even if there's few happy things in your life, you don't need to be ashamed to feel sad or depressed. If you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Basically just a green light to be a itty human being. Happiness is a choice. Damn. I must be choosing depression then, I guess. Edit. I'm not saying it's flat out wrong. This is actually good advice. The problem is that it implies a lot more. It being phrased better would solve a lot of the issues I have with it, especially in regards to depression and other illness. You just snarky put it into better words than I could. Your choices directly affect your happiness would be better. Not as catchy but much better without the same implication. People who are saying that it's somewhat true. That's what I'm saying. People trying to actually me are essentially repeating what I said, lol. Don't let yourself act like the victim. Had someone tell me not to let my wife feel like a victim after being sexually assaulted. I hear people say this a lot because they think it helps real victims feel less like one. But people need to process things. They can't just run through the healing process by pretending it didn't happen. Edit. I'm surprised how much this comment kicked off. I just wanted to add a few details since it seemed like people had a few questions. The person who told me that was my dad. Which, as others said, it is probably someone close to you that says this. My wife was my girlfriend at the time. A few extra itty details about the situation. Despite video and eyewitness accounts, police did nothing about the guy who actually did it because he knew the campus police well. We originally went to City PD and they said they couldn't do anything because it wasn't their jurisdiction. Campus PD said they would look into. Got back to us later and said they didn't find any evidence. HR basically asked if she would still be willing to work with him, the boss. So they basically gave her the choice to work with him or quit. She ended up quitting. He also did something similar with another young employee and also kissed another employee while at the store. I have a friend who is very sucked into the girl boss subculture that has her working all hours on a business that makes no money, then doing self-care in the form of spending the little money she makes on manicures or expensive beauty products that other people have told her are self-care. Self-care and self-love is sometimes admitting that you need to stop perusing something that isn't working and is making you miserable. Even if it's what you thought you wanted and even if everyone is telling you to keep going and not to give up. Edit. She's not in an MLM, although they're awful and I wish they were banned. She's in the fashion industry making amazing handmade one-offs, extremely talented. She enjoyed it when it was a hobby or something she did on the side and enjoys when she gets to work on community projects. But when she has commissions she puts them off until the last minute due to depression, then tries to fit into the hustle culture by staying up all night finishing things. It's a horrible cycle to be in. I also wanted to clarify that I don't think that it's a bad thing to treat yourself as part of self-care, but she largely buys into this as part of that kind of Instagram culture, putting photos of her nails up as self-care etc. I love her and as a therapist it's hard to see her go through this without any help. She's been largely failed by our mental health care system who've lied to her about her missing appointments they never told her about etc. The whole blood is thicker than water advice where you should feel obligated to be loyal to your family no matter what. If they are toxic or abusive then there is no reason for you to keep that around in your life, especially if it is detrimental to your own well-being mental health. Be a bad BTCH. What kind of life are you living? A Wattpad story? Is your dad a mafia? I don't understand some people. Edit. I know that means be self-assured and be confident. I just think that is not a good way to tell someone to be confident. Please don't hate me. Thanks. And thank you Kevin 24701 for saying that. No proper person should want to describe themselves as bad unless they are just selfish. If they can't handle my worst, they don't deserve my best. Funny how those people are always at their worst. This is a cure. Shows a picture of the woods. This is poison. Shows some antidepressants. Shut the duck up. Some people need antidepressants to function. Going for a walk in the woods will not just magically cure your depression. Anything is possible if you work hard enough. No, not everything is possible. You're not going to be the new Nelson Mandela, ducking president of the USA or the new pop artist. I'm sorry to tell you but it's true. Always trust your feelings. This advice is everywhere. No, oftentimes our feelings require introspection to work through them and make positive change. Astrology? I'm glad it gives you comfort, but if you start basing life decisions on the effects of the stars, you're probably going to have a bad time. Today's drinking culture. For reference, I live in the US. Every other post I see on Instagram these days is a joke meme about drinking. I find it a bit toxic as alcoholism and drug addiction rates have skyrocketed during the pandemic. Not something you should be capitalizing on or glamorizing at all. Edit. Thanks for the award. When people say no one is too busy to talk to someone they care about, this is so toxic to expect people to talk to you every day. Yes, sometimes people have other stuff going on in their lives. It doesn't mean they don't care. The girls who are always posting about treat yourself or if he doesn't treat you like a queen energy, it's time to find a new one. No one is bad financial advice. If you know you can't afford something, don't do it. And the other is not how partnerships work. You should be each other's best friends, not worshipped like he's your subjects desperate for your approval. If your ideal relationship is one of superiority instead of equality, then you probably have mental health issues. Nobody needs psychiatric medication. Just go outside for some fresh air and listen to the birds. YOLO. No, you only die once. You live every day. Edit. My very first gold. Thank you. The knee-jerk dump. Essie's probably, definitely, cheating on you. Advice you get in our relationship advice. Advice to surround yourself only with positive people. If you're willing to cut people from your life when they are a bit down, that's a recipe for people hiding the negatives in their life from friends. Only discussing the positive and having mostly superficial friendships, for fear of you being cut out of their lives. Not saying you need to keep people in your life who are treating you badly, but we all go through times when we are up and times when we are down. Friends give you fire time through both. You have to love yourself before someone else will love you. I can say from experience that sometimes you need someone else to love you first. There was a time when my girlfriend saw value in me before I saw it in myself. I think when people say get people out of your life messing up your mental health, you could have friends who are depressed or going through it themselves and it could take a toll on you. But what kind of person are you to leave your friend in need? Edit. I have to add that I do not mean people who are intentionally hurting you. Yes, you should leave if someone is putting their hands on you, cursing you out, making you feel worthless, but then says my life will be worse without you. I need you. Those people are toxic and you should leave. I mean people who aren't intentionally causing you any pain. Addicts. People struggling mentally. You can be anything you want if you try hard enough. Some people have gifts and talents that other people don't. That's the reality. And even though hard work will get you far, there are points where you need to acknowledge that you won't be the best at everything. Even if you love what you do, and you aren't cut out for every vocation. You should never feel bad or uncomfortable. How do you ever learn and grow? You have to love your body. Methodica. I'm short, bald, ugly, and I have chronic pain. My body betrays me at every turn. Duck that guy. If you can't love yourself, how are you going to love anybody else? Can I get an amen? I love my girlfriend. I love my friends. I love my family. I love my cat. Still don't love myself. But that doesn't make my love for others any less meaningful. Cutting folks out of your life whenever they do something itty to you. Nobody's perfect. Everybody ducks up. Everybody is gonna do bad things to you. And you're gonna do bad things to them. If you don't wanna wind up old and alone, you've gotta learn to forgive. Anything with detoxify in the description. If you have a liver you already do this. A juice cleanse isn't going to make up for your bottle of vodka and may even make it worse. For lonely people, you can't love others until you learn to love yourself. While having self-respect is important in establishing a healthy relationship, to some this can lead to a downward spiral of feeling unlovable because they're incapable of self-love. The idea that you don't owe anybody anything, which is often used to justify ghosting your friends, prioritizing your mental health above others' feelings, etc. Ignoring people who care about you or being rude to people shouldn't be encouraged. You can take time to yourself without being an asshole or cutting people off without explanation. Stop looking for love and it will come to you. Maybe that works if you are naturally attractive and naturally interested in things that enhance your attractiveness, i.e., working out, makeup, fashion, whatever. But if you're a shy, introverted person of average to below attractiveness, this is good advice to stay sad and alone forever. All you need is the proper mindset, especially for wellness coaches. First of all, screw to the ever-loving gates of hell whoever thinks this is all it takes. I am 100% aware that mindset is probably the most important variant to being happy and successful, but some days suck, and to minimize every problem to this completely dehumanizing. Sometimes your dog dies a week after you lost your job and you have to realize that any amount of mindset wouldn't help you be a better you in 7 days or whatever these mindset coaches are saying. Don't get me wrong. I am all here for personal development. I actually work in marketing and there is so much of that in the entrepreneur world. In general they help way more than they harm, but that doesn't excuse the heartless way they deal with the people for who their pre-planned coaching plan doesn't work. Since they are not trained mental health care professionals, they can't help the person actually find the right kind of help, and it can lead to this person losing control and spiraling into psychosis. These coaches don't care. Mindset and money, that's all. Anyways, if you are one of those people who sell, not just think but sell the whole philosophy, that all you need is the proper mindset and you can get anything, burn in hell. People who die of suicide because of your cult-like techniques are blood on your hands. Rant over, edit, or thank you for the award, my first hire. Stay away from negative people because negativity is contagious. They just bring you down with them. Yes, if you're in a mentally vulnerable place, but otherwise it's just justifying selfishness and stigmatizing emotional sensitivity vulnerability. Everything happens for a reason. Enough said, I think. Honestly, telling an obese or anorexic person they look fine and they should feel beautiful even when they have health issues. Be as fat as you want and society has to find you attractive, if you're a woman. You never know what you have until it's gone. This saying is intended to remind you to appreciate what you have and cautions that if you don't and it leaves, you will regret it. This saying popped into my head a million times after I left my abusive ex. Context really matters with these life mantras. Wellness advice. Make everything all about you, because you're worth it. Don't take no for an answer. Pester them until you get a yes. Burning bridges and cutting people off, ghosting them with no explanation because you're no longer getting what you want out of the relationship and you don't owe them anything. Okay, it's one thing if we're talking about an abusive relationship, but this mentality seems to promote childish, conflict avoidant behavior masked as self-care. Good vibes only. When the advice to deal with an anxiety problem is pretty much, oh, just remove the things that cause anxiety from your life. I'm sorry, but this just sometimes isn't an option for people. And I think most people understand this to be the first step to trying to deal with anxiety before it gets more severe. If somebody's anxiety is getting to the point where somebody else is getting concerned for them, then likely there's a larger underlying issue, like them being stuck in a bad living situation or in a job that's difficult to leave or something like that, and just repeating the most asinine kindergarten level advice that you should avoid things that are causing you too much stress doesn't benefit everyone. Plus there's also some situations or events that are just going to be stressful whether you like it or not, and you just kind of have to put up with it even if you yourself have some sort of stress or anxiety disorder. These kind of situations, the focus should be more on how to have better handle that stress, how to better recognize that emotion, and finding positive methods of distraction and subversion to help keep them from hyperfixating on it. Obviously I'm not a medical professional and you'll find better resources online about dealing with stress stuff, but my main point here is that the advice of just removing the stressor from your life is not only unhelpful but frankly a bit insulting to the intelligence of a person receiving the advice. No one can hurt your feelings without your permission. Bullet. If someone I care about says something offside, of course I will consider it truth until I prove otherwise. That's just respect. I'm not going to blindly assume everyone is wrong if they say something that hurts. I think that advice is trying to turn people into sociopaths. IDK if this counts as self-love advice. But Dion TXT FRST if the YRELY CRT hail any shata conversatine is a nice way to get yourself lonely. If you can't love me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best. Maybe, just maybe, if you're an intolerable piece of it at your worst, you have something to work through before demanding others accept and enable you to be a monster. Testing friendships, relationships unnecessarily, or the movement that insists that you can be healthy at any weight. The person that always says I'm not about drama is usually about drama. Man up, keep it together, or be strong when you're either in pain or on the verge of tears for different reasons. As if crying is a sin when you're a guy. You can be healthy and beautiful at any size. Fat acceptance kills. Jealousy is fine and healthy in a relationship. Absolutely not. Jealousy's two core components is insecurity and a lack of trust, neither of which are good for a relationship, and the latter can kill it. Hanging out in echo chambers. For me it's the physical self-esteem and appearance issues. And the whole don't ever think a negative thought about your appearance or want to change an aspect about yourself. I'm a natural ginger, pale, red-cheeked, freckled, the whole deal. Another thing that comes with that is I have completely invisible eyelashes and eyebrows. If I don't have makeup on, it genuinely looks like I have shaved my eyebrows and eyelashes off. For years I hated this and was just waiting for the day I learned how to fix it. Eventually, I got my makeup done and it was the most beautiful I've ever felt. All it took was some mascara and eyebrow pencil. I realized then and there that I was never going to go back to having my natural face. I started wearing the same 3 makeup products every single day: mascara, eyebrow pencil, and eyeliner. Then I became upset that I couldn't go without makeup without feeling naked. So I started dyeing my eyebrows and eyelashes. And it was life changing. I always feel guilty about only feeling confident after I change myself, but frankly, that's nobody's business but my own. You shouldn't teach people that they have to love their natural appearance no matter what. You should teach them that they deserve respect no matter what their appearance is. I don't like my natural facial hair color, but if someone were to insult it or belittle me because of it, I know that I don't deserve that. And my face is perfectly acceptable the way it is, even if it doesn't fit with my personal preferences.